Hey, what's up? Welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm Leah. We're talking today about how narcissists try to steal your personality. And it's not the kind of burglary you would think of, like a cartoon theft. That's how this narcissism stuff can seem ridiculous. Or narcissists can manipulate people more because they're like, that sounds ridiculous. And you can agree, yes, that sounds ridiculous. No one can steal your personality. But they can, and I'll explain how. They can't do it with your awareness, though. So that's the cool thing. So maybe you've been a target of narcissists because you grew up taking care of other people. Maybe you were in a dynamic where in your childhood, somebody else, a parent, somebody who you looked up to, wasn't helping you the way that you really needed. And so you learned that you needed to help them. You maybe became a parent to a sibling, or a parent to your mom or your dad even, or a caretaker, because too much responsibility was put on you as a kid when your emotional awareness and intelligence was nowhere where it could be to comprehend what was being put on you. Like right now it's hard to comprehend as an adult. So if this was you as a kid, you definitely had a lot to comprehend. And if you became the narcissist, that's why you shut off. If you became the caretaker, the empath, and some people say there's no such thing as an empath. Well, it's a personality trait. When you've been taught through childhood that your needs don't matter. And the way that you can be safe and protect the little needs that you have that are being met is by putting other people first. So you maybe learned one of the two things if you're on the empath spectrum or the narcissistic spectrum. And if you're neither of those and you're just walking the middle, then I applaud you. And now this awareness can help you with somebody that you might meet that has one of the other two experiences. So let's get into it. It's not a theft like you might think. They're trying to steal your personality. It is because what happens by the end, you may not even recognize yourself. So if this was set up for you in childhood, and you set up this pattern, then you might have noticed that you've attracted other people in your life with narcissistic qualities. If you're on the empathic spectrum, then you might have noticed you attracted friends, coworkers, spouses, all sorts of people around you that treated you that same way that you learned as a child. So even though it was uncomfortable and highly dysfunctional, you learned how to function inside of it. So the minute that you break a contract with your own needs, a little bit of your personality is diminished. Who you are as a person, right? Who you've decided to be in this character that you're playing in your life, but in a genuine way. When you learn over and over that your needs don't matter, you're even shamed for them or scolded or punished for having needs, you learn very quickly not to do that, or you learn very quickly how to maneuver it in a way that you make sure other people are taken care of. And like I said, some of your needs at least could be met. So when you've done this from childhood on and you attract everybody around you that treats you in that manner, which is very rare, but because you're used to it, you've attracted these types of people. Each time that you make a negotiation with your needs and you don't meet them because you're putting the criteria of somebody else above you, a piece of you is whittled away. So say, for instance, you're in a romantic relationship and you're very trusting. Maybe it's early on in the relationship, you're just dating. Maybe you've only been dating a few months and you're in that sort of honeymoon phase. And it's not argumentative or combative, or nobody's on the offense or defense. It's just this fun, joyful thing. But you don't realize that this is the love bombing stage. You don't realize that you're actually being set up because you're just intoxicated with the good feeling vibes of love, of joy, of fun, right? And as we know, with narcissistic abuse, there is a pattern there. So it's a set of behaviors that are a pattern. So you can break the pattern, but it is a pattern. With narcissists, it's always the same. The timeline might be different, but it's always the same. It's love bombing, then devaluing, then discarding, then hoovering back in, and then the cycle starts all over again if you take that bait. So the more that you do that, it's a very repetitive cycle and it's very exhausting. But when you're in the love bombing stage, even if you've been there before, it feels good. So of course, there's almost like an addiction there because everybody loves the feeling of love. It feels great. The problem and the danger is where you begin to also chip away your personality, where they steal your personality, is that you begin to project that love onto that one person. Meaning they can give it or take it away instead of it coming from within you because it's who you are. And the way that they do this is by love bombing. It feels so good. And then the next thing is devaluing. So then it's a little bit of confusion because they were just valuing you so high, putting you on a pedestal, right? And then they begin to chip away and devalue you. And you want to get back to the good thing. So you want to immediately try to fix, adjust whatever is bringing on the devaluing. And that's where you turn on yourself right there. Because if you take on that devaluation of yourself that they've projected onto you because of their bad feelings about themselves, then now you believe whatever negative thing they've put on you. And now again, another contract has been broken with your highest and best self. A contract has been broken with who and what you really are. This is also why people, if you've suffered from this, often you're on a spiritual awakening path. Why is that? Because you're like, wait, where did I go? Where did my person go? What is this person that I'm almost trapped in because my needs don't matter? Somebody else's needs always matter, but it's never good enough. So that's another way you're devaluing yourself and they devalue you because it's never good enough. So no matter how hard you try, it'll never be good enough. And the more you try, the worse it becomes. The worse it becomes. Because see, that fuels their fire. They want that. And again, you've just chipped away at your personality again. At who you really are. At who and what you really are. So a lot of people, like yourself maybe, come to a spiritual awakening path because you want to rediscover who and what you are. Maybe you have been able to break away from the abuse. Or maybe right now you're trying to break away. Maybe this is, again, set up from childhood and you still have an army of people around you, from family members to colleagues to friends, who all treat you this way. And you're starting to get a glimpse of awareness, so then you look it up and find a video like this. And that's why I'm talking about it. Sometimes people think, why in the world are you talking about that, Leah? You're not like the narcissist abuse expert. Why are you talking about that? You're an acting coach. I don't get it. You do meditations 1 minute and then the next minute you're talking about narcissism. How do they go? The way they go together, again, is because a lot of people who have suffered, such as yourself potentially, from this kind of abuse want to find our highest and best. What are tools to find your highest and best? Art, creativity, being present, grounded, truthful, imaginative, because you have to imagine a circumstance that you've never yet been in, especially if this has been a cycle, pattern that's played out in your life, your whole life. So with acting and yoga and meditation, these are tools that I've been able to provide people to help to center, be present, imaginative, truthful, find out who and what you really are. And as a byproduct, because of my own history of abuse, and because all the people, not all the people, but many people that I've worked with in the past 10 years have suffered from this, and that's what stops them. See, it's a catch-22, because that might be what stops you from creating your art, because you've been in this abuse cycle. And yet the art is what's going to heal you and connect you and save you. Art can heal the world. Art connects us. And with the yoga piece, if you've ever been in a yoga class, probably maybe you do yoga all the time. If you haven't, maybe you've heard the word namaste, right? There's a lot of t-shirts with it now, or like jokes about it, like namaste in bed or whatever. But it's a Sanskrit word, right? Yoga comes from India, and the Sanskrit namaste, roughly translated, means the light in me honors and recognizes the light in you. And when we honor and recognize that light in ourselves and in each other, we're one. We're connected, right? So that's another inroad with the yoga, because I believe art can do that. Art can connect us in that way, when we can go through this experience of healing together through the arts. So something that I teach too is the Meisner technique, and it teaches you behavior and teaches you what your behavior is, so that you can connect with people in a really profound way. Instead of just playing out patterns, you actually are present and notice what is. So it's going to be extremely transformative, because people come to the work often, actors and non-actors alike, because they want to get away from themselves. They want to like play a character, but then they realize through the work that they get to know themselves, and they're like, what the hell character have I been playing? Or they realize they've been a victim of narcissistic abuse, or all this stuff. So there's all these like inroads to it. And also as an acting teacher, it's studying the craft of being a human. That's what acting is. And then, as Mr. Meisner says, it's living truthfully under the imaginary circumstances. So a lot of people are on autopilot, not even thinking, just playing out old patterns over and over. And if you've been in a cycle of this narcissistic abuse and chipping away at your personality over and over and over a lifetime, people like that have come to me, and they'll begin to go, oh my God, I'm seeing myself for the first time. Or I'm actually finding out what my preferences are, what I like, what I don't like. Maybe you can relate with this. They chip away at your personality by you apologizing for everything, for merely existing. Because see, it plays into that not good enough, right? When something's not ever good enough for somebody, you begin to get really apologetic. I know I've been there, and I've had students that I've worked with that are so apologetic, full-grown adults who would apologize for having to go to the restroom or something. I'm like, you're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to be a human being. You're allowed to have to go to the restroom. But you begin to put these restrictions on yourself, like everything is wrong, like you're always in trouble. That's how they chip away at your personality. That's how they steal your personality. Another way narcissists steal your personality, again, they can't do this with your awareness. They only do it when you're in cognitive dissonance or not aware. Same, right? confused, in a state of confusion, exhaustion, trying to people please. But they'll take little catchphrases that you say, and now they say them. Or they'll say a quote of yours even. I had a narcissistic friend once that I gave advice to, and I said a specific quote, and I made it up, and then she loved it. She's like, oh, I love that. I'm going to steal it. And then another one of my friends, these are both like narcissistic friends, right? Another one of my friends, like a couple months later, said, oh, so-and-so gave me the best advice. She said this, and she said the quote that I said. And I'm like, I said that. But it's like weird, because why? Well, you're not going to get into I'm not going to get into a competition over that. It's like, let it alone. But again, a little piece of you has just been stolen. I've had narcissistic friends say that they're living vicariously through me. Because see, narcissists, they don't think of you as a separate person. You're an extension of them. They own you. And if they can't own you, that's why they discard you. If you're too much to deal with, if you put up too many boundaries and shine a light on their, terrible behavior, rude behavior, they're going to get rid of you. They only want the people around that are going to make them feel good. So maybe you're dating somebody and they're like, 1 minute, you're amazing and let's be exclusive or something if you're into monogamous relationships, and then without anything happening or no warning at all, the next moment they could just be so cold to you, even ghost you, or just completely block you and ghost you. I was watching this channel of this sociopath. I forgot her name. If I remember, I'll put her in the thing. Then you guys can look at a real sociopath. Now the sociopaths have channels that are, talking about what it's like to be a sociopath. And she was just saying that, she targets people that have had trauma. She targets people who she knows she'll be able to control and manipulate. Otherwise, she wants nothing to do with them. And she was saying how she has gotten wedding proposals within like 2 weeks just from lying and manipulation. And she said this one guy proposed to her and introduced her to his family, and the next day, without saying a thing to him, she just ghosted him, blocked him, and completely disappeared. And she said she felt nothing. And that's the other hard thing to get your head around, is that, sociopaths have zero empathy. Some narcissists do have a little bit of empathy, but sociopaths, they have nothing, zero. She said she feels nothing. And she said she feels almost disdain. If she feels anything, it's anger and resentment for people who have real warm, legitimate, genuine, loving feelings, because she doesn't know what that's actually like. So trying to love somebody like that is really challenging. It's never going to be good enough. And not all narcissists are sociopaths, but there's a lot of similarities there, right? Again, I study all this because I study human behavior. I study different character types. Psychology and acting go hand in hand, really. And then being a spiritual being, having a human experience, this stuff is fascinating to me. That's why this art form is fascinating to me. But this is how they begin to chip away. So I had a friend once say that she lived vicariously through me, and she had gotten, all my Facebook friends, and that's how they can begin to turn against you too, and chip away at your personality, steal your personality, because now they're maybe friends with all your friends, and if something goes wrong, they can blackmail you or talk to them, and that's what they call flying monkeys, right? They have people around you that can keep an eye on you, that can give information. And these people are very charming, so they chip away. Or another stage that I forgot is the defamation. Like they'll start doing a smear campaign on you once they've discarded you, because now they have to raise their name, and that chips away and steals your personality, because there's no way you can quality control and go around, because you don't even know who they've all talked to. And if you've been married or super close, some of these people say that they've been your best friends your whole life, or they're your family member. These people are close to you. Or they were your spouse. You're sleeping next to them. Literally sleeping with the enemy. So this is how they can steal your personality, until one day you wake up and you don't even recognize yourself. You don't know what your preferences are. You're very irritable because everybody's been at you. Nothing's ever good enough. You don't matter. You've been discarded. People turn on you, friends, family, a lot of other people, if they want to do that. So I've seen people just left all alone, and sometimes with quite literally nothing. So if that's you, or somebody's commented on here that she couldn't get out and she couldn't even get a shelter because all the shelters were full, and she had no money, and this man was completely controlling her, and everyone around her was abusing her. It was that whole abuse cycle. So it is a pattern. It's not you, and with awareness you can break out of it and get back in to your own person, your own personality. They also can steal a piece of your personality, because when they steal like a catchphrase or something, they can use it against you. Like your own wisdom, your own guidance, they can use that against you, spiritually shame you. And so I did a video on spiritual narcissists. A lot of times narcissists will take to meditation, spirituality, because it's another way that's very good to manipulate. And because so many empathic people are drawn, I'm pulling my hair. So many empathic people are drawn to this type of work. So it only makes sense that they'd be drawn to that. But then they can spiritually shame you. Like if you say something incorrect, or have a low moment, they're like, that's not very high vibration of you. Or, oh, I thought, maybe you need to go meditate, but like in a very condescending way. Or, I was just meditating on this. Like I one time had a couple assistants who would do that to me, because we would have like meditation circles and then have a meeting and try to be really grounded in presence. But see, they would use that against me. They're like, I was in meditation and just realized that like I basically don't want to hardly do anything, and I want you to pay me everything, and I think I should take 100% of the profits. And I mean, just like wild, mind-blowing stuff. Like I literally had an assistant once say that I should do a workshop, let her have the space and everything to do a workshop, and then I should give her 100% of the proceeds just because I'm the business owner. But I should market for her, put it on my website, have her use all my equipment, sell to all my students, and she should make 100% of the proceeds. No kind of arrangement, no split. And if I wasn't to give her 100% of the proceeds, I was greedy. That's what she told me. Really hard to talk to people like that. So I used to think, well, I don't have to be best friends with everybody, but I can do business with people who I don't necessarily like. Nope, not anymore. You don't have to do business with people you don't like. You don't have to spend time with people you don't like. You don't have to do anything you don't like. This is your life. Who are you waiting for to give you permission to finally really live your life? That's another way they steal your personality. Because then you're waiting for permission. I worked with an 85-year-old lady once who was giving everybody else priority over her life. She waited her whole life. She would come into private coaching sessions and cry. And she said, Leah, I've been waiting my whole life for my turn. I'm finally 85 years old. Finally, so many of the people that I was taking care of have passed on. Not finally, because she loved them. But she said, finally, I'm giving myself the time because everyone's gone. But now I'm finally doing what I want to do, 85 years old. I never did one thing my whole life that I, just for me. So don't let that be you, because actually it's the most loving thing that you can do is to be selfish. The most loving thing you could do for your kids, your spouse, your friends, hopefully healthy people in your life. And you can weed out and let those people go. And there might be a lone wolf period where you feel so isolated, especially if all your friends, family, spouse, colleagues, they were all like this towards you. You're going to go through a period where there's like a alone time. Lonely because you can be with self and not be lonely. But it's lonely because you'll start to go, who am I? I don't even know who this person is. I was talking with somebody the other day, and people say all the time when they find out I meditate and stuff, as if you're like levitating off over there. They're like, oh, I can't meditate. I have too many thoughts. I'm too anxious. I said, see, that's why I meditate. It's not to get rid of thoughts. It's to look at them and address them. That's how you change patterns. That's how you stop this cycle. That's how you can take your personality back. Who you are. You don't have to adopt these traits of them. One last way that I'll leave you with is how they steal it from you is that, through all sorts of things, triangulation. Say you were dating somebody and you were the most wonderful thing on the planet one day. The next day they devalued you, discarded you, and now gaslighted you, and then there was somebody else. And now this person's all over social media and you see them, and the other person is like proud. Like, I got him. I've got the best poontang in Denver. I won. Never feel bad when you see somebody. Feel bad for them because that means they're just in that cycle of abuse. That was you a moment ago. So if you've gotten out of this and you see them on social media or something touting their new person, that's just their new abuse victim. And some people go, well, should I tell that new person? Because they're going to steal their personality and all that time and energy. And maybe it will be until they're 85 years old until they wake up because of all the time and energy that is sucked out of your whole entire life. Should I warn them? No. Because that person is in the love bombing stage. So they're proud. They're like, oh yeah, got him. I tapped into the secret. No, they're being taken advantage of. This cycle never changes with a narcissist. So that's how they can steal your personality too, because you might go, oh, look at this person. They have it so great. I did it wrong. No. Don't let them steal your peace of mind. Nobody can take control over your peace of mind. Nobody. And again, that's where the yoga and meditation and acting can come in. It's very, very healing to be able to actually be truthful and react in the moment in a really safe way, because it'll only be good acting. It's not going to be any negative repercussion in your life. So if you're interested in healing in that way through the arts, through yoga, through meditation, definitely click the link in my description about private coaching or classes that I have to offer, because there's some really fun ways that you can break this pattern and actually use your gifts and talents to benefit yourself and the whole world. I don't laugh, I get excited. I laughed a little bit. It's because I'm excited about that. So that's the breakthrough on the other side. And you're not alone. If you feel lonely right now, if you're in that lone wolf period, remember, you're not alone. There are a lot of us who've been through this, and now we've gone through the looking glass, and you can recreate and create fresh, new an amazing dream come true reality. Through meditation, through affirmations, through yoga, through expressing, through being creative, through connecting and watching videos like this. So if you found value in this, if it helped you to get back a little bit to your own person, to your own frame that they tried to steal away from you because they're jealous that you have genuine feelings, if they've been trying to steal that away from you and you've been able to come back a little bit, even if it's just a fragment, and you feel some value here, please like the video. It helps a lot. It helps because it helps spread the word, because then it kicks into the algorithm in YouTube. And so what happens is that it helps other people who are like you, who've been through stuff like this, to help break the pattern. And that's how we can all help each other. So if you like it, if you share it, if you subscribe, these are ways that you can contribute. It's literally a contribution into the collective of raising this consciousness. Because you do have gifts and talents to share. I believe in you. Come back to center. You got this. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. 60 seconds of affirmations for forgiveness and peace of mind. I am not my past. Watch that video or another one right now.